I've had a chance to get some coats of epoxy on our little extra stiffening beams, and we've now painted this aft locker with about 3 coats of I used a Devo 2-part polyurethane paint, so it's nice and glossy and there's no pinholes or sharp spots. And we needed to paint that area first so that we can glue the aft seat top down. We won't be able to access that very easily after the seat top is down. So I've also added in a temporary brace because I wanted to push the sides of the seats out just about I don't know, maybe a 1/16 on each side, just to help the fit of the aft seat top. And I've also sanded along the top of all these edges that are going to get glued onto, just to clean up any epoxy that might have gotten on there, and to freshen that surface up and key it up a little bit. And so next I'm going to sand the underside of the seat top around wherever it's going to be glued, and then we're going to be gluing it down. I got the top of the aft seat top sanded everywhere it's going to be glued down, and just to show you how accurate these parts are, I have installed the aft seat upside down, and it actually fits just as well as it does right side up. So that just shows you how symmetrical this hull is. And so I'll just flip it over here. So the next step is going to be to mix up some glue, and I'm going to make a little cake batter dispenser, and we'll apply a bead of glue all around the top surfaces, and we'll put this thing down, and then I've got some little pins that I'm going to use to hold it down. Here's our mix that's going to be gluing down our aft seat top. And I've got a piece of plastic here about 18 inches square or so, and I'm going to just empty the whole mix onto the plastic. And this is already starting to get a little warm because it's pretty warm here today, and so you don't want to waste any time with this. Okay, there you go. So the next thing I'm going to do is fold my plastic in half. Trying to remember how I did this. There we go, fold it in a diagonal, and I'm just going to use a stick here to work out this kink, and I'm going to fold that over, and I'm going to close these corners, and now I'm going to put a clamp on it. And now we have a little cake batter thing, and I'm going to just snip the end off. There we go, and now we're going to go ahead and apply this to the boat. Okay, that got me about halfway around, so I'm going to go make another one of these. I'm using just some little tiny nails here. They're going to be removed so they don't have to be stainless or anything. Okay, aside from dripping sweat all over my plywood in the heat of my shop here, that went pretty well, and you can see I fastened these tacks in, well, maybe it won't focus, but I left about 1/4 of an inch sticking out of the wood so that I can come back and pry those out. This could also be done with lead weights. And I did use clamps wherever possible. The main thing here is you want to have some squeeze out, some epoxy squeeze out pretty much everywhere. I've gone ahead and did a little bit of filleting there at the transom stiffener, and I don't know if you can see down inside here. No, I think it's too dark right now, but I'll get a light in there later on so you can see how it turned out on the inside. But basically it just squeezes out, and I'm not going to worry about cleaning it because it's not dripping and it's not making a sharp edge. So I'm going to continue along and try to get the forward seat tops glued down, just repeating the same process. And I am going to go ahead also and glue in this aft beam for the aft thwart and the aft partial beams for the forward thwart before I do that. Okay, I've got all the seat tops glued down just by repeating that procedure. You can see my tacks. I didn't necessarily put a tack everywhere, just in the areas where I could push the side down and it would I could watch it spring back up. If I pushed it down and it stayed down, you know, it's just pushing the epoxy out of the way and then it's not going to move. But I did put a tack about every 8 inches on the edge of the longitudinal bulkhead, just because I don't want that to have any chance of moving around. And I used some clamps to make everything in line, so my butt blocks here, to keep them in plane with the tops of the thwarts, I've got clamps and various pieces of wood going across there. And any epoxy that I cleaned up from the joint went right into the fillet between the inside of the cockpit hull side and the seat top, which I'm going to finish that fillet tomorrow. And so that's about it. The one thing I'll say about using the epoxy in the cake chef batter dispenser trick with the plastic is that you definitely don't want the epoxy to be too thick. If it's too thick, you won't be able to squeeze it out of the plastic cake batter dispenser, and it'll really cause you problems. I did have one mix that was a little too thick, and I had to kind of go back over it with a putty knife, which was a little bit annoying. So keep that nice and thin and get it out of there as fast as you can, because it's going to start getting hot. I've also made a couple of these doubler triangle blocks, and they go under this corner of the seat top, and I'm going to glue those in next. I've already done that side, and that's just to double the thickness of that radiused corner. So I'm going to pull all these pins out tomorrow when I get back to the shop, and I'll finish up this fillet that runs along the back of the seat top, and then we're ready to start installing some of the deck structure. I've already test fitted one of the foredeck beams that's going to be where the tabernacle and the forward bulkhead will be installed. So that's all for today.